Hey guys, so today I'm going to be changing the downlights in our house, in our hallway from halogen to LED, so giving them a bit of an upgrade and then also providing those downlights with the option to change the color temperature between warm white, natural white and cool white. So this is just going to be a video of the option that I went with, as well as what other options you might be able to consider if you are in the market for something similar. This is very DIY. If you are competent enough with a bit of wiring, you should be able to do this yourself. But yeah, let me just take you through the options first, and then I can give you a small guide into what the job looks like and what needs to be done. I actually forgot to mention one of the primary reasons why I want to change from using halogen spotlights to LED is the actual energy savings that potentially we can make. Well, not potentially, actually we can make. So each halogen bulb currently in the fixture, so these are MR14 bulbs. Each bulb consumes 20 watts of electricity, right? Versus these LED bulbs, specifically the ones that I got anyway, they are 4 watts. And we have 5 units, right? So essentially, if I convert to LEDs, one halogen spotlight is the equivalent of 5 LED spotlights in my case. Oh, yeah, exactly that, yeah. So if I had 5, or say when I turn the upstairs spotlights on, there's 5 of them, each one's 20 watts currently. That's 20 times 5, so 100 watts it's using every time we turn it on. And that hallway is the last, it's the last lights or set of lights that we haven't changed to LEDs yet. And the consumption it's apparent even in our bills. I mean, you might think it would be small, but every little helps. And especially since we've changed the entire house from using halogens to LEDs, it has actually brought our bills down quite a lot, especially in the winter when we're using lights a lot. So yeah, there is a big cost saving that comes into play, as well as just the longevity of LEDs versus halogen bulbs. And I think that's important to cover in this video as well. Okay, so I went with these downlights by a company called Aluso. I got this from Amazon. They have quite a large number of reviews, I think 2,000, and this product has actually been selling on there for quite a while. I actually installed this product downstairs in our hallway last year, so I can say for a year they've worked without issue, and they do provide a 3-year warranty. So in case you do have any issues, maybe with a bad batch, you can contact them and get a replacement or even a refund, I assume. Again, I'm not affiliated with them. I'm just saying my experience with this product, and I guess through the reviews, etc., I can say it's probably safe if you were to put your money into this. So online, you actually have various different options. So you can see over here, I've gone with the 4 watt option, with the cutout being 55 to 68 millimeters in size. So what you need to do is measure the cutout of your existing spotlight holes, and then you'll be able to decipher what exactly option you can go with. So if you have a bigger cutout, you actually have more options to go with. The smaller the cutout, the harder it is to actually find something. But these guys actually do provide products to fit smaller cutouts and thin cutouts as well. So this, for example, the depth of it is only 30 mil, which is actually quite thin. So yeah, this is essentially what I've gone with. It's dimmable. So if you already have dimmable switches installed for your spotlights, this doesn't take away from the functionality when you do swap over from halogens to LEDs. And then on top of that, you have the additional ability to change the color temperature through the switch on the module itself. So you can change from warm white, 3000 Kelvin, to natural white, which is 4000 Kelvin, to cool white. So I guess if you're installing this in a kitchen or a bathroom, you might want cool white. If you're installing this in your living room or a bedroom, you might want warm white. If it's a hallway, you might want natural white. Really, it's up to you. You can mix and match whatever you want, but this product provides you with the ability to do that. So if you are on the market for this, just make sure you take into account all these things. If I was to quickly show you what the actual product looks like. So this is what the Spotlight looks like. I'm just going to move this out here so this focuses. So you have one of these quick connect. There we are. You have one of these quick connect blocks that allow you to have a toolless installation. You're probably going to need to grab a tool because more than likely your existing installation uses either terminal blocks or something where you need a screwdriver to take the wires out of the terminal block itself. But with this, you just get your wire, you feed it in here, and your connection is then made. This silver ring on this product is actually an option that I went with. It's not the only option that they provide. They also, I believe, have products with a black ring and a white ring. So you're able to customize on that. One thing I do want to emphasize on is this lip. You want to make sure when you're looking at Spotlights that you have quite a substantial lip. And the reason for that is, in my experience, especially around our house, the traditional, and I'll show you this on camera later, but the traditional Spotlights that were installed maybe 10, 20 years ago, they have quite a small lip. And what happens is over time, the paint around the paint and the plaster around the cutouts end up cracking, and those cracks and chips, etc., are visible when you have a very small lip. So with this, you can see it's a very, I wouldn't say substantial, but it's a big enough lip where those are hidden, and it really does create this. Well, it alludes to a professional install, and no one likes to see cracks, etc. So I think that's quite a big point to make. On top of that, forgot to mention as well, this frosted glass that you can see where you can't see the actual individual diodes, LEDs. This is also an option. You don't need to go with this. If you don't like the frosted glass look, you can, I believe, go with clear glass or clear plastic. But I prefer not seeing the diodes, so this is what I went with. And again, another point to make, the IP rating. So this is IP44. Just make sure that if you're installing this in a bathroom or a kitchen, you look into building code, etc. Make sure that the IP ratings are correct to where you are installing this. So for me, in my case, it's a hallway. It's not as important as, say, a kitchen or a bathroom. So I know you're asking the question, why change out a whole unit when I could just change out the bulbs? It really depends on your case. So if your existing installation uses a transformer that can work with LED bulbs without an issue, so it can go down to those low watts, voltages, etc., then you can switch to LED bulbs without an issue. The dimming would work, the bulbs won't flicker. It's pretty much, actually, I would say, easier than changing to one of these. But more than likely, especially if you had old bulbs, like an old system, you're going to have halogen transformers. And in order for those LED bulbs to work properly, you're going to need to change those transformers to LED transformers and then buy LED bulbs as well. So that's up to me. That was my case. And I did the maths, and it just worked out to be more cost effective to just change to one of these, an integrated unit. Yes, if it fails, you're going to have to buy a similar / same unit. Otherwise, all the rest of them are going to look different to the one that you've replaced. And then on top of that, you're going to have to replace the whole thing rather than just a bulb, which is slightly more work. However, in my case, I was looking to change the downlight housing anyway because of the lips and the fact that you could see that paint chipping. And rather than fixing it and painting the entire ceiling, for me, I just thought it's just easier to fit one of these and see how it goes. They're very, I would say they're cost effective really. They're about £20 for a pack of 6. So they come with a good warranty, they have good reviews. Worst comes to worst, they will last 6, 7, 8, 10 years. And and that's great. That's essentially it's done its job at that point. But yeah, just wanting to put that out there in case in case you are thinking, why can't I just replace the bulbs? That's essentially why. Really depends. So I would recommend, before you go ahead and buy something, just take one of the lights down, and I will show you this when I'm doing the install, but take one of the lights down and have a look at the transformer, and you'll be able to see it should give a range of what watts it's able to work with. If it can go down to like 4 watts, 3 watts, whatever, then you can just swap it out for a bulb. But more than likely it's going to be a halogen transformer, at which point you might as well just take out the transformer, because this already has everything built in, and just replace it with one of these. These downlights that you see are those in question, which will be changed. What I was talking about earlier regarding the lip and the plaster chipping, you can see here that there's a bit of paint chips just here. And to be fair, that isn't that bad compared to other places around the house that I've seen this happen in, but it is very common with spotlights, downlights. I mean, I'm trying to see if I can get a better example. Yeah, you can see it starting there as well. Essentially, it does come up and it does crop up. It depends on, the quality of the paint used, and in general, how strong this spring is and how people have taken it off in the past. Once it starts chipping, it is a bit of a pain, because other than hiding the resolution is to fix the chip. So fix the hole and then repaint. Right now I'm not in the mood to be doing that, so instead of going with the hiding option, what I'll do, once I've taken these down, I'll show you the difference between the lip size, just to help illustrate exactly what that looks like. But for now, I think I'm going to get started with the installation. So first of all, how do you take one of these out of your ceiling? So the way that these work is, if we just move the wire out of the way, is you have these spring-loaded clamps, and they fix on the other side of your ceiling, on either side of the unit itself. So you have one on this side, and then you have another one on this side, and that's how it will sit. So if you already have these installed, if you have spotlights installed, essentially this is what it will look like. What you need to do is lift one side of these springs up, like that, lever that out, and then do the same on the other side. They are quite tough. This isn't as hard as probably one of them. So these are the ones that are pre-installed are much tighter, the springs. They're much stronger, sorry. So don't be afraid to be quite hard with it with regards to pushing the springs up. What you don't want to do, or just be careful and wary of, is damaging the outer rim of the plaster itself, especially if you're trying to pull it down without opening this, because I think that this isn't the greatest design, if I'm being honest with how these work, but you're essentially going to create grooves in your plaster, and that then would cause that issue that I was talking about earlier with the cracking. So you want to minimize that. In order to minimize it, try and push this out as much as you can before pulling on the downlight itself. So that's how you get one of these down. Once you get it down, it will just hang like this, because you've probably got a terminal block connecting to the rest of the wiring, and all these are daisy chained down. So you can just leave them down as you work on the next step. But let me do that for one of these, and then I'll catch you in a bit. Big note, before you touch any of this, make sure you've isolated power to these lights. So make sure that you've got a circuit breaker, you've turned the switch off, and then on top of that, get a multimeter, something like that, just to make sure that your live is not live and going to shock you in multiple ways. Okay, as expected, these springs are so much more tougher than the ones that I'm going to replace these with. But if I just show you what that downlight hole looks like. So you can see the chip in here is much bigger than what it initially seemed like. But also, do you see this line? So someone's repeatedly, I guess the previous homeowners or electrician or someone, has taken these off in the past multiple times, and it's created these grooves because of how tight that spring is. And you can see, I mean, this is quite deep. I mean, this is probably one of the deepest I've seen. And the more often you do it, the more you're going to damage, and it's going to come all the way up down here at that point and crack the paint and cause more of a mess than what it should be. Yeah, this is one of the problems with downlights, and I don't know why they create the springs so tight. It's not that heavy of a mechanism. You don't need it to be that strong, but this is unfortunate. Oh, it's worse on this side actually. You can see it's literally come all the way down. So yeah, just be careful when you're taking your old lights down, because you don't know what's on the other side and you don't want it looking like that. So, plastering situation gets worse. As you can see, more chipping. I mean, this is quite bad. This is all just loose, probably from repeated taking off the old downlight, putting it back in, taking it off. But I've tried being as careful as I can. But when you have to take this massive block and this massive transformer out of that small hole, it isn't going to look good. Just to show you what the transformer looks like, yours will probably be something similar. As you can see, it's giving focus, let me zoom in. Right, okay, so you can see the watts, 20 to 60 watts, which isn't going to work, it isn't going to cut it for an LED. So that's how you can tell if the range is suitable for LED bulbs or not. If it has something similar to mine, or if it looks similar, and you can see in the spec that it doesn't go down to like 5 watts or whatever, then more than likely you're gonna have to replace that on top of this. Well, not this, but the bulb itself on top of that, if you want to go down the bulb route. But if you're like me, you should have like a terminal block or a box with a terminal block inside. So that's what I'm going to open next. I'm going to disconnect this, so it should just leave the wiring itself hanging but nothing else, and then it should be ready for installing the new downlights. I've now installed the new downlight, removed the termination block and installed the tallest one in. I've just added installation tape on earth since there's no block on this for it. But yeah, it's clearly labelled neutral goes into neutral, live goes in live, and they've colour coded it as well just in case. So there, I will now do the same for the rest, all the way down there, and then we can do a test at the end. If you do run into a situation like this where you have a terminal block that has too many wires coming in to support this quick fit block, what you're going to have to do is actually, well, it's easier to actually just remove this from the wiring pre-installed with the downlight and connect this directly to your existing block itself, similar to how it's previously installed. To do this, I mean, you have the option. If you, I mean, sometimes you might not even want to use this just because you already have these blocks in place, and so it doesn't make sense to remove the block to just put this back in. So if you don't want these, all you need is, let me just get in some light. Okay, all you need to do is get a very fine, very small flathead, so like precision one, and press down inside the top of where the wire is connected to. So if I was to get an example one, give me a second, sorry. Okay, so as you can see, it's fitted in, right? This one's fitted in. What you would do, try and do this one-handed. It's hard, but you get your screwdriver, push down into this, and there's essentially a little lever. And when you push down into that lever, it releases the wire from the block itself, so then you'll be able to pull it out. And then once you've got it out, you've got your 2 wire ends that you can connect directly to the existing block itself. So either if you have too many wires going in that doesn't support, because I think this only supports 4, yeah, so 2 neutrals and 2 lives versus especially at one of the spotlights, you're going to have a lot more wires coming in simply for the switches and then on top of the daisy chaining. So you're going to have to remove it in order to connect it to the existing block. And that's how you do it. Right, so everything is now installed, well, partially installed. I've connected everything up. Everything is isolated in terms of all wiring is back in their connection blocks. And I have gone ahead and reverted the circuit breaker. So now everything is live. And if we just turn on the lights, you shall see everything is working. So this is what it looks like. You can see, I don't know how hard it is to see on camera, but you can't see the individual LEDs. So everything, well, with the frosted glass or plastic, should I say, it does a good job of not showing each LED and essentially shows more of a blurred light, which is exactly what I was looking for, which is nice. So if I was to just give a quick rundown of the different light temperatures. So it's currently on warm white. Not sure how well this is going to pick up on camera. That's cool white. Oh, sorry, that was natural white and this is cool white. So again, cool white, natural white. Oh, it's hard to do on one hand. Warm white, there we are. So you have those three things. I'm not sure how well that comes across on camera. To the eye, it looks exactly how you would expect the color temperatures to look. I'm not entirely sure on a color accuracy since I would need a separate tool to measure that. But to the human eye, it looks all normal. So let me put these back into their respective holes and I'll show you what the finished look is like. Right, as you can see, everything is now installed back as it was before, but with the upgraded lights. And just to show you this lip, because I know I said, let me turn the lights off first, give me a second. Let me turn the lights off. Okay, just to show you what I meant by the importance of the lip. If you remember what it looked like before, where everything had cracked and essentially the paint and the plaster had come off, none of that is visible, right? You can't see any of that because this light hides it well because of the lip. And that's why I think it's important to just make sure if you're going for a downlight, try and get a lip that's actually going to be quite well away from the cutout itself. That way you hide a lot of the things that you don't want to see, and it prevents you from having to, because I assume what happens is most people cut out downlight and then paint, and when you take out these fixtures, it's inevitable you're going to get cracking. Similar to, this one was the worst one. Everything else wasn't as bad, and I've never had it as bad as this, but I'm glad I guess it's a double-edged sword, but I'm glad it kind of did happen, just because I'm able to show you exactly what I mean of the importance of having that lip. And give me a second, actually. Okay, so what I've done, I've got the old downlight and the new one. Just to show you the difference. This is the size, this is the level of lip that this downlight has, which is extremely small. I'm not sure, because the chrome, let me try and zoom in actually. Can you see how small that lip is compared to this? It's night and day, the difference. And at the end of the day, I understand this is a smaller, this is a smaller footprint compared to this, but I would rather have no paint showing, or no paint cracks or plaster cracks showing because of, removing and installing the upgraded versions than it's showing. And the thing is, the previous owners have had this for a while, and even theirs, you can see from the installation and earlier in the video that there are cracks forming even before I removed it. And I was trying to be as careful as I could. So I think that just goes to show the importance of the lip, and I think it's something that needs to be considered when you are purchasing a downlight for an upgrade. But yeah, I'm really happy with the installation. Went exactly how I expected. Very easy. Hopefully I've covered everything, but if I haven't, please just leave a comment below and I'll try and answer it as best as I can. If you do have any video recommendations that you want me to cover as well, please let me know. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this is helpful in some sort of way or not. And until the video, I'll catch you next time. Take care. It was only after filming this video that I realised that the upstairs downlights actually aren't dimmable. Oh well, we don't have dimmable switches. So I got it wrong. Downstairs is where the dimmable switches are. But I have actually installed, like I said previously, I've actually installed the same downlights downstairs that I installed upstairs. So let me just show you the dimmable part. Okay, so I'm just gonna dim it. You can see they dim right down with no flickering whatsoever. So if I just focus on this one, as I bring it back up, you can see no dimming. Well, that's actually the camera. Oh, there we are. So just wanted to show you that, so that you can see the dimmable function working, just in case any of you have dimmable switches.